The main agenda, right, around which I will be talking is around how do we accelerate the collaborations between Indian AI companies and Taiwan-based AI companies, Taiwanese companies, right? And for that, I believe it is important for us to review the opportunities which are there and the challenges which are there when it comes to AI industries in both the countries, right? But the first and the most important aspect that we should try to understand is why does the collaborations between India and Taiwan matters, right? So for India, there are like several countries all around the world with whom we can partner, and for Taiwan as well, there are several countries that Taiwanese companies can try to explore. So why India, why Taiwan? That is the first question that I would like to address. So it starts with the basic principle about the value system, right? So both India and Taiwan are vibrant democracies, and that is what I believe gives the first and the most important reason why countries around the world, specifically the countries that follows the consent of people, that values the consent of people, and that follow the people-based regime of administration, should try to collaborate. And that is where the first reason why Indian Taiwanese companies should try to explore that the value system is really important, and that is why there are good opportunities when the government to government interaction can be really like helpful for both the countries, right? Second, and the most important reason I believe is the viable economic partnership which can happen and which is still there, like which has started developing in the recent past years. So I would say the reason India is definitely the largest, one of the largest growing market now, and it has all the needs which are there of any developing nations, right? So it requires an accelerated industrial automation. It requires a lot of manufacturing facilities to be set up. It has requirements for the infrastructural development which is needed, and these are precisely the areas where Taiwan is at an advanced stage, right? So that is, I believe that there are definitely very viable economic partnership opportunities which are there across all sectors, not just limited to AI, but across all various sectors, whether it is about semiconductor industry, whether it is about infrastructure development, it is about AI advancements or any other industries. But definitely there are huge opportunities for both the countries. And then the next thing I would like to address is that if we observe the pattern of interactions which are happening at the government level in the recent few years, right, mostly around from 2014-15, the collaborations between India and Taiwan has been continuously growing, which is definitely the positive signals for the corporate sector as well. And that is where I believe that this is now the perfect time for Indian and Taiwan corporate sectors and the startups to start exploring the partnership opportunities very actively. And then I would say, if I have to specifically talk about what sectors are there where both the countries can try to collaborate, the first thing would be that there are a few sectors which are of special interest for both the government, whether it is about Taiwan or India. And these industries are semiconductor manufacturing industries as well as the technology industries, including AI. So these are the first reason that why India and Taiwan should try to explore a collaborations. So I would say that these are the things that we are at a stage where economic partnership is possible and it is very much feasible because the governments are in a favorable mood, and there are a few events that has been happening over the years which signals that now is the time for the corporates to start engaging together very closely. Now talking about that, okay, when there are so many opportunities for a possible engagement between India and Taiwan, why do we choose field of AI? Like, what are the special opportunities which are available in this particular field? So I would say the answer lies in the fact that for both Indian as well as the Taiwan government, the AI has been a very special interest area, right? So the Taiwan government last year launched new AI hub initiative, which aims that Taiwan should become a global leader in AI. Similar plans has and similar initiative the Indian government has also launched in the past few years, starting with National AI Strategy, which was launched by the think tank of the government called Niti Aayog. Then we have launch of national AI platform in India called India AI, and then both the governments has been promoting AI in government as well as defense related opportunities. Beyond that, there has been a lot of interest from the corporate sector as well. And in fact, the Indian government is now very actively promoting AI as well as entrepreneurship related programs at the school level so that the next generation of entrepreneurs would be very much tech savvy and they would start actively looking for opportunities in the field of AI and other technologies. So this gives that, okay, definitely both the governments are very actively trying to engage. So my first slide would try to answer a question that why India and Taiwan should closely work, whether it is about any particular sector, where my second slide specifically answers why AI should be one of the special area where both the governments should try to engage very closely. Now, if you have to look about the recent industry trends that has been there in the Indian market, so if we talk about the Indian AI market size, it was valued at $3.1 billion in 2020, and it is expected to grow to $7.8 billion by 2025, which is an annual CAGR of around 20%, which is considered to be very high growing market, right? And global AI market definitely is around $500 billion, and Indian AI market is certainly one is holding a significant portion of it. If we talk about Asia Pacific, we are the third largest AI market besides behind China and Australia. So definitely for any company coming out of Taiwan and when they are looking for major market across the world and specifically starting their expansion in the Asia Pacific, India should be one of the top most priorities for them. Apart from this, if we talk about the recent trends in startups and venture capital, a lot of investment has been flowing in the Indian startup ecosystem, and AI and other technologies, blockchain, AI, and then the data infrastructures and everything has been one of the top key choice for all the investors to fund and put their money, right? So that is where I believe that these macro industry trends and macro government level factors plays a very important role when it comes to drive partnership opportunities at the corporate level. So this gives us the background about why Taiwan, why India should start actively collaborating in the space of AI. Now, but what kind of collaborations opportunities are available or possible between India and Taiwan startups or India and Taiwan-based corporate sector? For that, we would have to first understand what are the challenges which are not there. So, say why Taiwan market would not be self-sufficient versus for its own Taiwan AI companies versus why Indian AI market would not be self-sufficient when it comes to Indian AI companies. Why do we need each other? So for that, if I have to talk about the adoption challenges of AI in India, one of the major challenges that I have personally observed over the years in this industry is that for Indian industries are not yet fully ready for the automation. AI is all about automation, which starts with having a basic data infrastructure, cloud infrastructure, AI infrastructure, which is the first beginning point that AI cannot be thought without having a data infrastructure in place. But Indian AI industries are not fully ready for it. We are still in the very early stage of automation, and now this concept of data infrastructure and everything is now being talked about. And now big companies in India have started to take these things seriously. And that is where the senior executives of all the companies have now started paying attention, observing the very obvious benefits that AI and automation offers. The second, the most important challenge for Indian AI adoption is the cost of hardware. When it comes to India, we are good with talent, we are good with software development, but the cost of AI hardware is very high, right? So whether we talk about computing power, whether we talk about storage facilities, or it is about industrial AI, the cost of hardware is always very high, and that is where Indian startups in the field of AI has been struggling. And the third most important challenge for Indian AI companies is around lack of data and poor data quality. AI is usually trained on unstructured data, and because there are no proper data sources available or the data infrastructure is not in place, that is where a lot of AI companies in India faces challenge that they would want to work on an ambitious AI project, but there is no data set available to work on them. Or even if it is available, cost to acquire the data is so high that it almost make it unfeasible for those companies. Then data security, integrity, ethics, these are definitely one of the key challenges, which are not unique to India, which are there for for all the countries in the world. Specifically, when we talk about regulated industries such as medical or finance or banking related sectors, where data security can definitely become one of the very top concern. And apart from this, one very important challenge, which I believe could be unique to India, is the diversity of culture and the language that we have. Right. So think about a company trying to build some conversational AI solutions or anything specific which requires catering to the entire India. The real fact is that nobody can sell to entire India. India is such a large country. If you have to build any solutions keeping in mind Indian audience, you'll have to choose a particular strata of Indian society, the Indian market that you would want to target, because The India is a big country. It has several diverse culture, various languages, people speaking. So their culture is different, their lifestyle is different. A lot of factors are different, which definitely differentiate their buying choice. And that is where you cannot build one solution and sell it to everyone. You'll have to customize those solutions specific to each particular strata of Indian customers, and that is where the cost of AI development goes very high. Right? So just to train an AI on one particular language is very high. Think about a country with 22 official languages and around 19,000 different languages and dialects which are not officially recognized. You have to build the solutions for them. So we can think about the cost which would be there involved in building such solutions. So these are the key challenges for the Indian AI industries, where I believe Taiwan could come into picture. Taiwanese AI companies, specifically when we talk about the capabilities of Taiwan, right? So now specifically targeting how Taiwan AI companies can collaborate with India. So I would say there are two important factors that can be considered, or two important possibilities and opportunities for Taiwan-based companies. The first is that if there is some Taiwan companies which can very actively work with the Indian government, and Indian government, to be honest, is very open nowadays to work with companies all across when it comes to building infrastructure, cloud infrastructure, data infrastructure, or hardware capabilities. So the first possibility starts with an active engagement with the government of India, as well as all the state governments and government bodies which are there. Then to start actively work in the field of corporate sectors, startups, when it comes to infrastructure and hardware. So I would say I would like to keep it that way, that if you are an AI hardware company, there are a lot of opportunities for them as India as a market where you can sell. If you are AI software building company, then definitely there are opportunities, but more than opportunity, I would say India could be one of the key procurer for you, right? So whenever you have to think about outsourcing something, or wherever you need an external expertise, India could be the country of your first choice. I'll come to this particular point in detail, but before this, talking about how Taiwan can contribute to India. So the first sector is around AI infrastructure, AI hardware, where the Taiwanese AI companies can work with government, startups, as well as corporate sectors. Second, that definitely, India is a large market, as I said, and which is very hungry for adoption of new technologies, including AI. And that is where all the companies in Taiwan, when we think about going global to offer their products, India being the neighbor country and India being close, and India, the macro sentiments being in favor of engagement, I'm sure any AI company would, when they receive an offer from a Taiwan AI companies, they would very positively consider that proposal. So that is where I believe uh, in the infrastructure development for AI, in the hardware development for AI, there are good opportunities for any Taiwan-based AI company. Now, how India can offer, like what India can offer to the Taiwan-based companies. So I would say India has been a major supplier of tech talent across the world. If we see the pattern for last 20-25 years, since the telecom automation, call center automations, and all those things started, India has been the tech talent provider for the world. So that is where the first opportunities lies for AI companies in Taiwan. That when you think about building a global team which comes with the best expertise, which can help you reduce costs and still like help you build the products of your choice, India should be the first preference. We have the best talent available in the form of AI engineers, data scientists, domain experts, and as well as the data annotation workforce, which can add very significant value and help you reduce the cost for AI development. Second point is Indian workforce is accustomed to work with global companies. So it is not that we do not have an experience about how to work with people from different culture or people in a different time zone. We have been doing it, and people are very much comfortable to work with companies all across the world. We are actively working with companies in the West. And then collaborations in AI software development with Indian companies. So think about not building in Taiwan and selling in India, but a kind of a joint venture between an Indian AI company and Taiwan-based AI company, where both are building together and selling together to the whole world, not just Taiwan or not just India. So that is where the big opportunities lies, where India can also contribute to the Taiwan AI companies. Now, with this whole context, that why India and Taiwan should start engaging very closely, what are the opportunities in AI, what Taiwan can offer to India, and what India can offer to Taiwan, I would like to specifically now pinpoint what my company, Indika AI, can do for the Taiwan-based AI companies. So as Divya mentioned initially in introductions, so we at Indika AI, we are an AI data solutions company. we help AI companies with the entire training data flow. So when it comes to the first step, what data strategy should be there, data infrastructure should be there in place, we can help you with advisory services on that part. Then collecting the right data set, then annotating the data sets, evaluating the performance of model as the data is fed to the AI model. So that is where our role come into picture. We are a large data annotation workforce, and I very humbly believe that India may or may not become global AI capital, but India can definitely become the global AI training data capital of the world. Right. So that is my humble belief, and that is where I would like to offer this possible collaborations opportunity to all the Taiwan-based AI companies. That whenever you're building any AI solutions and you are looking for a data partner who is reliable, who can help you collect data sets, who can help you with the right domain expertise team, a team that comes with domain expertise, team that comes with experience to work on data annotation, data collection, data transcriptions, and anything related to training data, Indica could definitely be a choice for you to consider. And we are more than happy. We are working with companies in mainland China, Hong Kong, a lot of companies with countries with similar culture, as well as countries such as in the West, such as UK, US, Canada. So across multiple industries, it includes industrial AI, it includes finance, medical, legal, automobile, fashion. As it was mentioned that we cater to 10 plus industries all across the world, and it supports all data types, images, text, videos, and audios. So that is where I believe that my company can contribute to the AI development. Think of us as an extended team for your company, which would very actively engage and which would help you build the data sets with high quality training data sets. So with this, I would like to conclude my presentation. Uh, if there is any questions, I would be more than happy to address them.